T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Own it, own it, own it, Kong. I own it. It did.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Woo! Welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. My name is TK Trinidad. Welcome to WWT Live Thursday edition, Yours Day. If you don't know what that is, RIP Jesus Mero. But we're not talking about them. We have a lot of stuff to go over. We also have an ROH briefing that happened today. So shout out to Nikki. She was in there. She's taking notes. We have an article, so definitely check that out. But I am not alone. Thank you, Jesus. We have Kane McCoy in the building. What it do, Kane?
Clearly, I am fresh from committing a cat burglary. I was trying to fish the trash cans of Orlando, Florida to get me an NXT Women's Tag Team Championship. Didn't really work out, so we'll try for next time. I'm sure there'll be more women's titles thrown in the trash on WWE programming soon, knowing Vince McMahon. So I try again.
There it is. Shout out to Bobby. Shout out to Nikki. We just gave you a shout out, Nikki, for your hard work with ROH today. But let's get into it. What's the first story that you have for us?
Oh my goodness. Happy post-Dynamite. The smoke is still in the air Thursday. Pretty good show. It has some highlights, lowlights, typical ebbs and flows of AEW Dynamite. One of the biggest ones being a surprise pop-up. Once again, we see hip-hop and professional wrestling mingling, doing a collab, if you will. Kevin Gates showed up during the Swerve in Our Glory. That is Swerve Strickland and Kevin Gates. Keith Lee, your new AEW World Tag Team Champions. He showed up yesterday, and it was a celebration. There you see him with Tony Nese, who got a haircut. I didn't know he had a haircut. I didn't thought he had a ponytail. He could have lost it in the hair versus hair match. That really bothers me. Side note, when wrestlers get haircuts and then they lose it in hair versus hair match, come on now. But you see Kevin Gates there. Attorney Mark Sterling came out, tried to get the pass. The people against Swerve Strickland petition signed. He walked up to try to ask Kevin Gates, hey, man, can I get your signature? And Kevin Gates is like, bruh, I'm signing a statement. I ain't no snitch. I ain't no op, fam. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he should have said that. That should have been a closed caption. And there you see Mark Sterling hiding behind Tony Nese and Kevin Gates because Mark Sterling basically called him soft. It was like, Kevin Gates, you a punk. Your music is mid. You hot trash, just like all the other SoundCloud rappers.
And it was kind of funny. He said he thought it was Young MA.
That was a good one. I don't know if that was fed to him or Mark Sterling is like in the culture, because a lot of people on Twitter kind of say that we've never seen Young MA and Kevin Gates in the same room. So that was pretty good. I was like, someone reads hiphopdx.com. But anyway, Kevin Gates emerges from behind the barricades. Tony Nese stands in front of him and wow, Kevin Gates stole my man in the face. You know what I'm saying? And then Mark Sterling turned around to get that awful, terrible cake that AEW got from the local Kroger or something, or the local Albertsons. I'm not sure. Yeah, Kroger, the local public bakery department that AEW got that cake for. It was like a sheet cake that they had for their new tag team champions, and like champagne that I bought when I was a freshman in college. But that was a pretty good mingling that happened. But the whole time I was watching it, I was like, West Side Gun is like 3 seats away. West Side Gun from Griselda Records, always rapping about wrestling off the fourth rope. Fourth rope is kind of like his vanity label. He, for God's sake, his new project has a song called Danhausen on it. And I don't know, between, WWE's Raw, SmackDown, or NXT, or AEW, why isn't no one acknowledging West Side Gun? He's right there. Acknowledge the Fly God. Boom, 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 boom. It's very interesting. I don't understand why, but like West Side Gun to most hip hop fans is probably like at the moment kind of bigger than Kevin Gates. You know what I mean? So I don't know if this is a Swerve preference. Towards the end, Swerve did do a fist bump and he gave a glass of champagne to the Fly God, West Side Gun. So West Side Gun was able to get on television. But it's like, can we just acknowledge West Side Gun, please? That, just
put some respect on wrestling gods. Put some respect on West Side Gun's name.
Wrestling gods respect the Fly God. Like, come on. But I have a theory about that because we never really see Kevin Gates on WWE television or AEW television, so he doesn't really. He's not really there. But West Side Gun is so omnipresent in both companies that maybe they both feel like we won't acknowledge him because he's going to show up on the next company's television anyway. So I can kind of see from that angle.
Yeah, or it really has to do with the PR if he does have PR. Like if he's going hard in the paint for himself, and because it's a good PR is the person who tells the story to whatever company to say, okay, it's gonna be beneficial for you to have this person on, because even though we are seeing the blend of hip hop and wrestling, the people that we are seeing that are in wrestling, WWE, AEW, they're mainstream media. And I've been seeing Kevin Gates everywhere across mainstream media. And I think that's what they're gravitating towards, and or they have a really great PR person that already has this in the bank and these are already plotted and planned. So that could be a thing too.
So, I mean, are they going to work on a Kevin Gates angle in which he has a black woman wrestler in an AEW that's his cousin that he's going to try to have sex with? Because he's in the media for that, talking about how he might do his cousin. So, I don't know if AEW wants to really, ride that wave. I know it's Fyter Fest with sharks and waves, but that's not a wave you want to be a part of right there. Just, putting it out there. West Side Gun.
Is his third cousin, though?
It doesn't matter what number cousins. Cousins is cousins, okay? That baby's coming out with a third eye or a fifth arm. One of them. West Side Gun versus Kevin Gates at All Out. Let's book it.
Okay. I mean, or Battle Slam. Why not?
Oh, we do it at Battle Slam, yeah. And Gerard can do the run-in.
Boom. There it is. Oh my God. Yeah, it was definitely a great show. I do love seeing it's a catch-22. I do love seeing when the culture is represented in wrestling, but then again it's just kind of like, are you, and I don't want to be that person. It's like, okay, we're happy, like more women are on, more people of color, but there's still more that could be done. And it's like, are you not happy with this version of it? Given the fact where we were 5 years ago. So it's like, always kind of playing in my mind. Like I'm happy for it, but I'm like,
I enjoy TK because I know we can be kind of, pessimistic about it. Like, they're only doing this because, but no, it felt organic. No one knew Kevin Gates was going to be there. Kevin Gates is a name that everyone knows. Everyone knows Kevin Gates. Like 2 Phones is a massive hit. Mark Sterling referred to that. When I used to work in Knoxville, Tennessee, when I was doing radio out there, people would go crazy over Kevin Gates tickets. I was like, really? They only knew 2 Phones. That was it. But they knew Kevin Gates and like they just loved Kevin Gates. So he does have that crossover appeal. I do understand that. You could tell Mark Sterling and Tony Nese listened to him. They both kind of like marked out for it. But show some love to West Side Gun. That's all I'm asking, wrestling fans, wrestling companies. Also, Jermaine Dupri pulled up with the baddies. Jermaine Dupri was out there with Jade Cargill and Kiera Hogan alongside Stokely Hathaway. That was pretty cool. JD didn't say much. He just kind of stood there and just said, so deaf. You know what I mean? So it was pretty cool to kind of see such that's the most hip hop we've ever seen on wrestling programming, probably. That didn't feel like some type of minstrel show or parody. It just felt like, oh snap, Kevin Gates, West Side Gun, and Jermaine Dupri all appeared on AEW television. So WWE, need to catch up or you're going to be mustard out here, dog.
I mean, yes and no. I feel like WWE's audience either way, they're going to be fine. It's not, even though they cater to mainstream media, they have such a audience where we speak to so many wrestlers where they start watching wrestling because their grandmother watched wrestling. Like, it's just such embedded in the culture that it's going to be a long time before AEW catches up. But I mean, it's great to have another option. So that makes both products and all products across the board better. So
absolutely,
we'll see what happens.
And again, TK, to see that match between Jade Cargill, Kiera Hogan versus Athena and Willow Nightingale, I was in that thing. I was like, I really appreciated that. It was just like super black excellence. I really kind of enjoyed it, and the segment felt natural. It didn't feel like we were being like, virtue signaling or anything. I really enjoyed it, and I hope all the other companies out there, I guess being WWE the big one, can kind of take notes at that and kind of see how to book black wrestling, as it could just be literally black wrestling. It doesn't have to be too over the top. It doesn't have to be yo boy. We don't talk like that. Like, it could just be like, oh, it feels like I'm watching something for the culture by the culture. So shout out to Tony Khan for booking in that way. So, and Stokely Hathaway, because he was kind of really behind that. You can kind of see the shift since Stokely's come to AEW, how it feels kind of more like it's palatable. It kind of feels like, all right, there's a black person that's actually writing this.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I would love to find out, like, if it was more like, okay, this is the pitch, this is how we should do it, and Tony Khan's like, okay, everybody's been complaining, so let's see how this goes. Or was this, Tony Khan was meditating one day and it came to him and here we are. Like, I'm really, I want to know that type of stuff.
Could he be meditating with a Big Swole interview podcast playing in the background? Just like, oh, maybe there's some points here.
Hey, you never know. Maybe he heard the interview and months later it comes to him. Like, I am a daily meditator and I get really great ideas from those moments, but it might have been something that happened, weeks or months ago. So again, I would love to know if that was the case. Like, I'm more intrigued at what happens behind the scenes, because as both of you and I know, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes before you see the finish or the live project. Like, I wanted to do an Instagram reel of how this show is put together, but then I realized I can't show people's information. Like, there's just too much stuff that I can't show, but there is a lot of stuff that goes into it, and talking to Twitch, blah, blah, blah. So I would love to know the behind the scenes to that, but we could actually just go into which is on our website right now and on our YouTube page. They did have the Ring of Honor media call today. And like I said, Nikki was on it. We do have an article on it talking about the Ring of Honor pay-per-view that's going to be coming up. And I was listening to a bit of the interview today, and unfortunately, and I don't know how they picked the questions. That's something I'm gonna have to look into for next time. But they didn't have a lot of questions pertaining to the women, and there's a lot of women that are in Ring of Honor. So like I said, definitely go and check out the article. It's on www.talkpod.com. And Tony Khan did speak about Willow Nightingale and how she's improving and all this other stuff. So where do you see Willow, or where do you hope to see her? Do you hope to see her more on ROH or AEW, or what do you think would be the best bet for her?
Well, she's going to take on Allison Kay this Saturday during the 0 hour. Is she officially all elite or not? I haven't seen the graphics, so it's just like a per match basis that she's doing.
Yeah. Which
it seems like
than
nothing. Exactly. It seems like they're kind of leaning towards having her in ROH. They really need to build their women's division, and with her coming to AEW, we're already kind of seeing that she's kind of thrown into the mix with Athena and Chris Statlander. So she hasn't really been given her own program on her own, nor is there really room for her to have her moment right now. Obviously, Thunder Rosa is taking on, I can't think of the competitor's name, my bad, but she beat her in New Japan Pro to earn the championship match at Death Before Dishonor this Saturday. So it's one of those things that maybe she'll be better served in ROH at the moment. But again, if she gets signed, then she's going to be in both companies, kind of bouncing back and forth anyway. But I like to see her. When I see her on television, she looks the part. She promos well, so why not? You know, I think AEW at this point and ROH are both trying to figure out at the moment. We have so much. We give everybody an opportunity. We put you on TV. Now it's on you.
Right. And she looks different, like, you know, beyond the mono, which you're seeing a lot of now. I think more, well, no, Bianca's different too. I think you're seeing more of now, just women, but also Black women. There, you're not seeing the, okay, you have to look like this. And I really like seeing that. So here's a quote again from my article. So definitely go and check that out, written by Nikki. Tony Khan said, Willow's been wrestling with AEW, and she had wrestled with Ring of Honor in the past also, and now with being able to book both companies. I think Willow is a great wrestler for any wrestling promotion, including both AEW and Ring of Honor. He continues, I think she's a great face for any women's division, and we are watching her get better and better and better. So, you know, you don't know where we're gonna see Willow Nightingale, but I definitely hope that we'll see more of her. So that's for sure.
Absolutely. Willow, what up? And she looked good in the match last night too in the tag team. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we've seen her on the indie scene a lot. She was on WoW, I think, just for that one season. But we've seen her everywhere, so it's nice to see her on TV. And then also the one of the big heads like recognizing her skills and her talent, and then knowing that you're being watched. That's always a good thing too. Somebody that also is being watched is The Rock. He's watching his daughter Simone. What do you think of all this that's happening?
Yeah, so in a recent article, Dewey, our guy Dwayne The Rock Johnson, he spoke about his daughter. He was on Jimmy Kimmel Live on Wednesday night, where he discussed how he's very proud of Simone for making history, as she is WWE's first ever fourth generational wrestler. How about that? The High Chief, Peter Maivia, Rocky Johnson, The Rock, and now Ava Simone. Rock said that he's very proud of her, and you know, she's doing her thing in NXT. You got to be poised. He liked her in the promo, and she has a cool wrestling name. The Rock likes the name Ava Rain, so who are we to complain about it? But we will, though. Listen, I'm just like,
what you guys
we all know that she's The Rock's daughter. Like, we know she's The Rock's daughter. So how do we tiptoe around it? It's the same thing with Braun Breaker. Like, how do we tiptoe around it? But everybody knows. We were in the chat. Okay, I was in the chat pitching random names, thinking of stuff like, what about Rockette Johnson? See what I did there? You know what I'm saying? Rockette. Or even better, because she is the daughter of The Rock, Rocky Maivia. Why can't she be Pebbles Maivia?
Wow.
Right. Come on, man. It's Rock's daughter, Pebbles Maivia. She comes out and her finish was called the Bam Bam or something, or, you know, the Pebble Stone. You know, we'll figure it out when we get there. But Ava Rain, how can we? No, don't you king me, JD Smith. I'm coming up with creative here. I think she's gonna be good though. I mean, it's a lot on her because she could be named whatever she want, but we all worry about that ring performance. And it's one of those things that if you're daughter of The Rock, how is your promo skills going to be? I mean, The Rock is probably the greatest talker in the history of professional wrestling. So if you're The Rock's daughter, do you embrace that? Do you try to become that and worry about people saying, oh, well, she's trying to be like her daddy? Or if you don't do it, then, oh, you're not your daddy. Like, what happens with it? So it's going to be very interesting. She's in NXT. Can't wait to see her wrestle.
Yeah, it is interesting, in the amount of pressure that she must feel. Like, you know, it was one thing because I remember I saw her on the red carpet for some movie premiere, like before she signed with WWE, and I think she was working with the production company that he had for that movie. So it's just kind of like you kind of been under your dad's umbrella and protection. Not to say she hasn't put any work, so don't get me with that. But now it's just kind of like you're on your own, but you're not really on your own, and everybody's looking to you. And then as far as the name, we already know how NXT does. It's her name at NXT, but you know, when and if she gets to the main roster, it might be something totally different. Maybe it will be Pebbles. I don't think so, but you know, and anything is possible. But I am curious to see when she will make her debut. The ring skills is definitely important, but I think if she has great ring skills and then her mic skills are, then that's gonna be a problem. So hopefully, being in Hollywood, that her mom and The Rock obviously are really great athletes. JD says her parents are both tremendous athletes, so her in-ring ability is likely covered. You'd think so, but we've seen athletes, like parent athletes, have children and their children are ordinary.
David Flair.
They're okay. So you never know. I think the mic skills is going to be the thing. Yeah, I think the mic skills is going to be, if she can have that quick-witted mic skills, not necessarily like her father, but just make it her own. And hopefully, being in Hollywood, she might have already taken the classes. Like, what's the classes? Because you've taken them before, Kane.
Improv.
Improv classes, stuff like that really, really helps. So hopefully she's already put in the work before she even signed there. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, she looked just like her mama. Oh my goodness, it's like spinning image, right? Yeah, you gotta look just like your mama, girl.
So we'll see. I'm interested to see how they're gonna do. Hopefully they'll do her storyline justice. That's another thing too.
And I think with WWE, with her having that heritage, they kind of need that next big name star. It won't be long before we see her in the title picture. And listen, dream match booking, WrestleMania, let's go 40. WrestleMania 40. Okay. The Rock and his daughter, Pebbles Maivia, Rockette Johnson, Ava Raine, name to be determined, versus Ric Flair and Charlotte. In Ric Flair's last for real this time, last match. Dream booking.
Actually, now that you say that, I don't know about Ric Flair and Charlotte, but Hollywood is coming up. Like, if you could have, let me find the picture, because now I get Clement to add the picture. If you could have the Samoan dynasty, add the Rock's daughter in there, and develop some type of storyline where, obviously we don't want Roman Reigns bullying his little fourth cousin or
third, fourth, about third cousin,
right. So if we can have something where there was just kind of like, he said or did something, or somebody from the Samoan dynasty, or if not Naomi ever comes back, or Tamina, something along those lines where The Rock feels the need to step in, but she's like, nah, Dad, I got it. And something, that's Hollywood. Mainstream media would eat that up, because you already know that they love The Rock, period, right? Correct. We already know that. You might throw Kevin Hart flying through something. Like, there's I feel like the Hollywood one is gonna be not necessarily for wrestling fans, but for those like occasional fans, and everybody in Hollywood who grew up watching WWE is gonna want to be involved in one way, shape, or form. Because I remember that SummerSlam last year, and how did I manage to cut myself? That's weird. I saw
better than Chris Jericho trying to cut himself last night, so it's okay.
Oh gosh, I saw. I don't know if this was aired, but Tiffany Haddish was interviewing somebody in SummerSlam last year in Vegas, and that was Vegas. That's still a drive or an hour fly away. But now you're home. Everybody and their mama is gonna try to do something for that, and the mainstream media is going to eat it up. So I think if they are going to debut her, it might be leading up to that. And why not? Because we already know that, like, Rock doesn't give. I remember there's like some promo where they're talking about the egg. Rock gives you like maybe a video, like a package, but you haven't really seen The Rock in a minute. So I feel like that would be a good lineup, and that would blow. How is AEW going to compare to that?
They're gonna have to like bring out like Tully and Tessa. Might be the only way to like really have something to compare with that. Only because everyone will be so pissed off.
It's not. It's like you can't. And then the tickets will be. If they make an announcement that Rock was gonna be at WrestleMania, the price for tickets will be like your first two children, a house on the hill, and your whole credit score. Like, it will be.
It'll be your
Crazy.
first two children who have to sign the Vince once they become of age and live in the Orlando NXT dormitories at Chase U.
Yeah. So there's that. But again, more of a dream booking with the Samoan dynasty, where I feel like they've been, they missed out on a huge opportunity. But we'll see we'll see we'll see what happens with that. I'm not gonna go on with that too much. What do we have next, Kane?
Speaking about dream booking between Ric Flair and Charlotte versus The Rock and Pebbles Maivia, which we're not gonna get July 30th, July 31st, excuse me. That's going to be Ric Flair's last match. It'll be taking place SummerSlam weekend. SummerSlam is that Saturday. Ric Flair's last match will be Sunday, July 31st. Last match with an asterisk, of course. They came out some wrestlers who will be appearing there. Ric Flair did mention that Charlotte will be there. She might or may not be on camera. Probably not. Maybe so towards the end to give her a hug and whatnot. But he also said they're scheduled to appear. He spoke about this on Busted Open Radio. He said Rey Mysterio is going to show up. Apollo Crews, who knew how close Apollo and Ric Flair was, and Pat McAfee. So that's going to be interesting there to see if those guys will appear on camera or not. He also speaks about Kid Rock, but I'm sure Kid Rock will be late to the party because he has some type of clan rally to play at or some sort. Remember, Ric Flair will be 73 years old. He's going to be teaming with my guy, and your guy, his son-in-law, Andrade against Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, who will be fresh off of refereeing a tag team match for the undisputed tag titles between the Usos and the Street Profits. So this is going to be crazy, man. The event seems to be getting bigger and bigger. They just added something called a bunkhouse brawl featuring Bully Ray and other people. It's going to be wrestling. Like, if you haven't seen wrestling before, this is going to be very much wrestling. Of course, earlier this week, that BET Plus trailer of an incident between Jay Lethal, Ric Flair, and Jeff Jarrett in a parking lot whooping came out. So they're really hyping this up. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah. The reason, so Nikki's like, why did we talk? Were we talking about this? I was thinking about it, but I also think the reason why we're talking about this is absolutely crazy. Like, Ric Flair is having his last and final match. We'll see. He might be at WrestleMania 40, but to see him lace up his boots, and the fact you, Nikki, and Senhen are going to be there in person, it's going to be a star-studded event. Like, a whole, thankfully it wasn't around WrestleMania, in Hollywood, but this is going to be a major event, and this is something that people who are there to witness it, and even people who watch it on television, this is going to be one of those things where you're like, it's going to be a memorable event. Like, when's the last time you saw a wrestling great, a wrestling legend, Hall of Famer in his 70s have a match and go hard in the paint? Like, he's promoting this thing like it's no other. And then the fact that you're going to have WWE legends who probably didn't plan on going to SummerSlam come out, to celebrate him at an event that's not a WWE event. I mean, you can only imagine, like, the names he was naming, and then on top of that, of course, Charlotte's gonna go. He didn't say she was gonna be on camera or not, but it's just one of those things where you almost have to put respect on how this event is being booked, and the fact that we might not see anything like this ever again by a man who said, like, he's been in the game. Like, I feel like we could probably Google it, how many rap songs have been about Ric Flair, but he's been in the game for like and he hasn't missed a beat. Like, the fact that there's still rap songs being rapped about him is insane. So I feel like this is something, to me, the reason why I added this story, it's just because you look at it, you're like, there's this old man, he's hyping it up, but it's like, there's this 73-year-old man who has an illustrious career who is doing this, and legitimately, as he said plenty of times, like, if he's gonna go, he wants to go in the ring. So, like, that's why it's like such a monumental event, and people should, just like, when I had friends who went to see Obama get become president, those moments are like, you can't take away, you can't scrub from your memory. So that's why. Sorry for the monologue of that, but that's why it's such an important thing.
I mean, Ric Flair is presidential status in wrestling circles. I think this is one of the things that throws back to what wrestling supercards used to be. You used to see, the territories come together for one supercard, and that's what we're seeing here with Ric Flair's last match. Of course, that's what the Forbidden Door was. That's how some of these recent pay-per-views with Impact as well, not really involving WWE. Well, WWE to a little bit when they had Mickie James, who was then Impact Women's World Champion. I'm sorry, Knockouts World Champion appear. We see that here. I mean, look at this lineup so far. We got Bully Ray against Crimson, against Crowbar, like Devin Storm. Okay, James Storm, Commander, Ricky Shane Page. Okay, so that's the Bunkhouse Battle Royal. And then Clark Connors, who we saw in that All-Atlantic Championship match against Ren Narita. Killer Cross taking on Davey Boy Smith Jr., Devon Eriks. That's a throwback to World Class of Marshall and Ross Van Eriks. Those are Kerry's sons. Kevin's sons against the Briscoes. Who may or may not be holding the ROH Tag Team Championships at this point, because remember, this is happening after Death Before Dishonor. The American Wolves, or just the Wolves now, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards against the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. The Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton and Kerry Morton with Robert Gibson versus the Four Horsemen, which will be Brian Pillman Jr. and Brock Anderson. Jonathan Grisham, who may or may not be ROH World Champion at this point, taking on Nick Wayne, Allen Angels, and Takashita from DDT Pro. That's going to be real violent. Then we got some Lucha Libre, Ray Phoenix against Taurus, Laredo Kid and Bandito, and yours and mine's, America's, the world's Impact Knockouts World Championship match between champion Jordan Grace, Deonna Purrazzo, Rachel Ellering. Hell, Deonna Purrazzo might even come out in her Axiom gimmick because, she thought of it first. So Deonna Purrazzo might be wearing a mask and doing math. Who knows? Josh Alexander, according to her, Josh Alexander, champion, taking on Jacob Fatu for the Impact World Championship. And of course, that main event of Ric Flair against Andrade El Idolo. Jeff versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. So that's a stacked card. That's 11 matches. I hope they don't add any more because holy man, that's a lot of wrestling going on.
You ain't going nowhere.
The Nashville Fairgrounds, July 31st. SummerSlam weekend. It's going to be Conway Liddy.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be a great event. And like I said, that's going to be a memorable event. And I feel like there's hopefully too many people are not tuned in where it crashes the internet. Like I feel like it's at that level, like Ric Flair or some version of Ric Flair in childhood, from all types of people. It's just a great thing.
Also, again, I'm just reading, TK, that once again, the surprise opponent for Ric Flair could be the Undertaker, seeing how he might need to be buried after this last match.
There it is. Now, I mean, I knew this was coming. So, let's speak to a little bit about the Shield. And so we have Seth Rollins saying the next time you see the Shield together is when they're inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. One, do you think that's the case? Two, and this was an article from WrestlingNews.co. So do you think that's the case? Two, do you think everybody will show up? And do you think this is sooner than later?
Oh, this is definitely later because, John Moxley still has about 10 years to go. Hopefully, if he slows down on the GCW matches in AEW, I think it's one of those things that at the end of the day is good for business. Is best for business. The Shield is one of the most incredible groups in WWE history. To have a group of wrestlers each become world heavyweight champion, that is very rare. Like, you don't see that when it comes to stables. And the fact that every member of this stable has been world champion, they also held the secondary title, or they were a tag team champion. They held all the gold. So you got triple crown champions as a stable. You damn right. Once everything gets settled and get finished, they will all be in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that Moxley left in 2019. It's just like there's just such a. It seems, I don't know about you, Kane. I don't know if it's just like entertainment warps stuff that's going on, but it seems like it just happened, and also seems like it's happened 20 years ago. Like it just one of those things where it's like, oh, 2019, like I was doing this, and that. So yeah, it's I definitely see that, but I don't know. Do you think Moxley will show up? That's my thing. Like even after, so say he's finally retired, or he's going the Ric Flair route where you're gonna see him pop up sporadically in, maybe New Japan, GCW, etc.
Yeah.
But when this happens, do you think he'll actually show up? Because he seems like the person that just really doesn't care. Like, all right, that's cool.
I think he will, because time heals all wounds. And if you're going to speak actual factual about it, does Jon Moxley, the attraction that he is, exist in AEW without getting that run in WWE? I remember Jon Moxley in CZW. I remember Jon Moxley on the pre-show, during dark matches, in tights. You know what I mean? As Dean Ambrose, and making his debut, and trying to figure out the feud with Mick Foley when he's going to cane Dewey, and how all of that could have went down south and could have went horribly wrong. Think about how lucky he was to be selected to be into the Shield. Professional wrestling, like most careers, is a battle of, you got the talent and the opportunity, but it's also luck. That's what success is, right? Opportunity meets luck. And you have that success. And it's just like, he's so lucky to be in such an influential group. And it's like, how do you just, I would have been where I would have been without that. That's not true, Jon Moxley. I mean, for God's sake, if we want to keep it 100, your family's because of WWE, Jon Moxley. Like, you don't meet, if you're not in WWE, do you meet Renee?
Well, I don't think
that happen? You know what I mean?
So it's like a thing to WWE. I think he probably acknowledges that, things have happened because of WWE, but all the pomp and circumstance, because like all of that, he doesn't seem like he really cares too much for that part. So I don't think he wouldn't be appreciative. I'm just like, would he go? It's like,
he'll be there.
He'll
be there. He'll probably blade, show up in a tux and a white tux and get bloody, but he'll be there though. I think him getting the book out, getting all the frustrations out, explaining why he left and what he did, that helps. It's, it's very, good soothsaying, very cathartic, if you will, to get that done. But it's just, he's had success before in WWE. He had a lot of success in WWE. They made him the world champion. You know what I mean? Like, he got a match with Brock Lesnar, you know what I mean? And then he left on his own accord. He didn't, do anything illegal. His contract was up, and he left to go be a professional wrestler again. And that's right, JD. Thank you. He will show up and he will blade. He's only his happiest when he's bloody. Exactly. So now he's doing his thing in AEW, and he proved that he can be a draw. He proved that he can be the guy. So for Vince, for WWE, they're probably like, dude, yeah, okay, cool. We'll take a little credit for that too, because, again, it's not like you went from CZW to anywhere else. Of course, WWE was the only option, but he chose the option. He went there, became highly successful there, both professionally and personally, left and got on. So there's no taking away that the Shield is very influential, and I can't wait to see it happen.
Now, speaking of somebody else who's influential, Cody Rhodes. So he went in the ESPY yesterday. Have you been to the ESPYs before?
I passed by the ESPYs and tried to sneak in, but it was so hot, I just didn't feel like doing it. It's so hot. I was like,
so yeah, Cody Rhodes, he won the ESPYs yesterday. I'm trying to find the list who he beat out. So apparently there was a bunch of people on the list, and then the fans pared it down to like 4 people.
That's right. It was best WWE moment. I like how it was very like successful between everything, but it was Cody Rhodes WWE. It was just WWE moment. You know what I mean? So
yeah, which I feel like they should. Obviously, you understand why, but I feel like they should open it up and have it wrestling moment. But I get why, they did. It's a good pairing, so it makes sense. Do you agree with this? Based off of everybody else that was in the category. I'm trying to find the category.
Well, the things that were nominated, there were 4 nominees. The 4 nominees were, I believe, it was Stone Cold, Stunning McMahon, and Theory, and Pat McAfee at WrestleMania.
Big E cashes in Money in the Bank.
Yes, Undertaker going into the Hall of Fame.
And CEO Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 38.
Yeah, and Taker going into the Hall of Fame. It was Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is going to win it regardless of who was nominated, just because it was such like a... Sometimes the moments are dope when you know what's going to happen and you still pop when it happens. It's like you knew he was coming.
Yeah,
and then you saw it. It was like, oh my God, it's the American Nightmare skull on WWE television, and something Cody Rhodes, like it's happening, and then he rises up through the smoke. The crowd is here, about to blow. Then he rises up as the crowd is about to blow. It was the perfect moment. I watch that entrance almost every day. I watch it before coming on WWT Live. That's why I'm so excited all the time, because I know the crowd is about to blow when TK opens the door and I show up clearly. So it was the right war. It's good to see Cody can hold something. Look, he's not in a sling coming off his pec surgery. Both arms look mobile. So that was also kind of like a good, that's good to see as well, that he wasn't using a crutch or using any type of assistance for his pec.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great event. Titus O'Neil was there as well, representing WWE. Yeah, I mean, you can't. It was a great pop. I think because we all predicted it, and when it did happen, it was just like, okay, like we all were right. I feel like when we get what we want, especially as wrestling fans, it's just kind of like, oh, that was anticlimactic because I got what I wanted, versus the surprise that you're talking about. So
yeah,
I mean, kudos to him.
Yeah, and he didn't even have to set his back on fire to win an award. Because AEW, my man was doing all type of, hey, man, what are you doing, dog? Ish, and didn't win anything. Couldn't win anything because he booked himself to not win the world championship. So I think to JD Smith's point, exactly. That's a nice visual reminder that was a good decision to come back to WWE. And come next WrestleMania, he's going to have an even better one when he holds up the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Let's go.
Yeah, Cody. I mean, barring that he's healthy. He was on, I believe it was Busted Open Radio, where he was saying that the doctor hasn't cleared him, he hasn't given him a date, any of that stuff. But like you said, he looks mobile, so we don't know when he's coming back. And we're already in August essentially. Yeah, so by the time he comes back, like obviously you're gonna want to build it up. And no shade to any other. And we've said this time and time again, no shade to any other state, but the fact that WrestleMania is in Hollywood, mainstream media is going to pick this up like it's like a piece of fried chicken on a hot summer day, or piece of watermelon. I don't know, which is both two things that I should have said. But anyways, it's just going to be, I know, right? It's just going to be really a big thing. And to have Cody Rhodes, especially the name recognition, and if or The Rock shows up, it's like so many things that are possibly happening. So definitely would want him to take his time, because we don't want him to come back too soon and then get re-injured, which is never a good thing. So shout out to Cody, congratulations on the win. I wonder if the Oscars are like the Emmys or the ESPYs are like the Oscars, where it's just kind of like you get it, you have to give it back, and then they send it to you with your name engraved. I wonder if
oh, absolutely. I think they're all like that. You just take the pictures, their props, and then you get the one, you get it like stapled on, or in Cody Rhodes' case, you probably just take like a chair shot or something, or like you get it stitched on, because he bleeds a lot, so he just gets his name stitched in into the ESPY. Shouts to Cody Rhodes. Adrenaline in my soul, TK.
There's that. So like I said, before we get out of here, definitely go to www.talkpod.com to check out the media briefing that Nikki was on for Tony Khan for Ring of Honor. That's happening this weekend, so definitely go check that out. That's on our YouTube page, and that's also on our website. And then where can everybody find you, Mr. K. McCoy?
Yes, follow me. Hey, real quick, do you want to do like a Death Before Dishonor card rundown and predictions?
Let's go for it.
All right, bet. All right, Death Before Dishonor 2022. I'm hella excited about this, folks. It's going to be on pay-per-view, but like most wrestling fans, we will be streaming it legally on various websites to check out. And what's going to go down is, let me see, we got the whole card right here. Allison Kay, as we mentioned, Allison Kay versus Willow Nightingale. TK, who you got winning that?
Ooh. Damn. I think this is going to determine whoever wins. Like, I feel like Willow might be on the verge of being signed. So I feel like if Willow gets signed, even though technically if she gets signed to AEW, she can cross over to ROH. That will determine if she wins or not. And I feel like she's getting closer to being signed to AEW. Therefore, Allison Kay, will keep the strap.
Yeah, shouts to Allison Kay. She's doing her thing in NWA. She's a former NWA World Women's Champion, so it's going to be tough competition. Remember, she was an Impact back in the day at Sienna. A throwback right there. But
Yep.
you ain't signed to the conglomerate, shouty. You ain't ROH, AEW, ISK. So I fully expect for Willow Nightingale to take the win. Next, that's gonna be in the pre-show.
But we don't know we don't know if she's gonna be like, you don't know. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of signings after this one. Again,
Yep.
if you again, I didn't get to listen to the whole media briefing, but Tony Khan was saying that, you know, they're still signing people, and this is kind of the first kind of pay-per-view where he has the run of everything. So maybe he has the vision of what's going to be happening. So
Well, ROH will be, yeah.
yeah.
Other matches,
And I believe like Allison Kane will definitely she might be ROH
ROH.
bound.
We're gonna see what goes down with that. I will hope so, because ROH can really use a kind of a big boost in the women's division, and I think she'll be a great challenger for my girl Mercedes Martinez. For the ROH Trios Championship, or the 6-man tag team championship as they call it, we have the Righteous of Vincent, who we see occasionally in Impact Wrestling as part of Honor No More. So I guess he's honorable again. I don't know what's up with that. But we got the Righteous, Vincent, Bateman, and Dutch against Dalton Castle and the boys. Really don't know too much about this match. I am hip to Vincent. He's again doing the Impact Wrestling thing and Honor No More, which is kind of weird that he's now, I don't know, is he finished with Impact or something? He's just remained champion. But I fully expect for Dalton Castle and the boys to come over, because it sounds like Vincent might still be in Impact, but we just need you to drop the strap. So here we go.
Right. Okay. Ooh. I think I might side with you with that one.
Ooh, and Nikki put in the chats, he think Honor No More might pull up and pop out, because we still don't know what because, you know, Impact does like the like per appearance. So who knows if Honor No More might be done. I haven't seen anything on Impact that Honor No More has disbanded. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't seen anything with that, but it's going to be interesting to see how that goes down. Next we have let's go with Wheeler Yuta. God damn it. Wheeler Yuta. Wheeler Yuta shouted against Daniel Garcia. Pure Wrestling Championship for the ROH, a pure wrestling match for the ROH Pure Championship. You know, that's how I feel about it. 2 AEW guys fighting for this. You know, AEW has to figure out what they're going to do with Wheeler Yuta, in my opinion. Like, is he Blackpool Combat Club? Does the club extend between companies? Is he with him? I know he just teamed with Mox yesterday. It just, you know, did the whole thing with Bryan Danielson getting injured kind of, you know, cool it off for a bit, but he's just kind of there, you know. What's the point of beating Josh Woods if, you know, you just kind of, it's kind of there.
I feel like with this match, and I always reference X-Pac for this, excuse me. When you're planning, you know, cards like this, like you have to, just like a movie, you have the ebbs and flows and the moments where it's like, okay, I can go to the bathroom now. Like, you can't be up all the time. I think this might be the match where it's just kind of like, this is the time where, you know, if the kids are being too loud, or you know, you want to
be
get
very
some
technical.
popcorn,
This is a very cool off style. Yeah,
I feel like this would be the match. So I feel like you can go either way with this one.
Yeah, I think Wheeler retains Daniel Garcia. You know, he has this thing going on with JAS. Unless they're going to find a way to include a championship in JAS, that'll be interesting, but we're going to see how that all goes down. Next, we have FTR, Cash Wheeler, and Dax Harwood against the Briscoe brothers, who were announced during the ROH media scrum today that they are signed the ROH. Taking on the Briscoe brothers, two out of 3 falls for the ROH World Tag Team Championship. I'm excited about this match. This is the number 1 match that I'm excited for. I think the Briscoes go over here.
Yeah, I think that's the case too. I think it's time. I feel like fans of ROH feel like this is what's supposed to happen. You have DeMarco saying FTR. But I think, yeah, I'm gonna agree with you, Briscoes, for this one. It just makes sense, given everything that's happened over the last, I don't know, 8 months or so.
Yeah, I mean, FTR has literally every single championship. There's rumors they're trying to go to NWA next. Good God almighty. White men, why are you colonizing these promotions? Taking their gold away. No, I think we've seen FTR at their pinnacle, and now it's time to drop. You know, they held it down for ROH. They're going to drop those titles. Then they're going to go to Japan, drop those titles. Then eventually go to Mexico, drop those titles, and focus on the AEW World Championships. It's cool to kind of see them become the holders of all championships, but now it's time to really strictly focus on the AEW tag team division. And I think that starts this Saturday with them dropping to the Briscoes, who can now carry the ROH tag team division.
Okay.
Next up, we have also a match we're looking forward to. Mercedes Martinez, champion, taking on Serena Deeb from the great Commonwealth of Virginia for the ROH Women's World Championship. TK, who you got?
Damn. I want to say Mercedes. And I think Nikki was in the chat and saying that Mercedes is going to drop. But unless they have a plan for Mercedes, like whether it's like a crossover to AEW or, you know, something else, tag team, stuff like that. I have Mercedes for this one.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Serena Deeb. You know, I felt like she is one of the best women's wrestlers in the world, and I would like to see some gold around her waist.
Okay.
Former NWA Women's Champion. She's come to AEW to try to do her thing there. Has been a great opponent for Thunder Rosa and for Riho, for Red Velvet, Sheeta. You know, I love when she turned heel against Sheeta and attacked her with the most matches plaque. Like, I think that's really awesome. So I really think that it's time for the Professor, Serena Deeb, to attain some tenure and become ROH Women's World Champion.
Okay. I mean, we'll see what happens, but
we gonna see. Next, of course, we have the match that I'm also looking for. I'm looking forward to a lot, apparently. I'm marking out Samoa Joe, champion, against Jay Lethal, which could totally be from like Death Before Dishonor 2004, but whatever, dog. Nostalgia's ruling right now for the ROH World Television Championship. I think Samoa Joe retains here.
Yes. Yeah.
ROH needs stars. ROH needs stars to get them back off the ground. Remember, they're working on some type of TV deal. Who knows what's going to happen? Will it be on Turner Broadcasting of some sort, or will it be like within the Warner Media family? I'm sure they're going to try to like keep it within the Warner family, but they need stars to promote, to put on the posters. And Samoa Joe is the face, one of the faces of ROH. He's a Hall of Famer. Yeah. He's a pillar. I think he retains here.
Yeah, and Tony Khan did say that he was talking to Warner Brother Media, and you know, the fact that they're seeing this stuff like up close and in person, and seeing how this this pay-per-view goes might lead into something that is, you know, a weekly basis. So yeah, I mean, I feel like because Samoa Joe has that cachet to, you know, all the stuff with WWE, etc., that that may work. But then here's the question: at what point, as pretty much almost a legend, does that cachet no longer carry weight to, you know, cash in at, you know, network television, stuff like that? Because, you know,
basic cable.
Samoa Joe's, yeah, basic cable. Because Samoa Joe's no longer like a young Samoa Joe. So I wonder, just in general, you know, when you're like, what's in Tony Khan's mind as far as what he envisions ROH to be once that television deal does happen.
You know what Samoa Joe is? Timeless. That's what he is. And I think the vision for ROH, as evident by the logo, the new ROH logo is a throwback to what I believe is the golden era of ROH logo, with just the black and red ROH. I enjoyed the infinity sign they had, or that little cross thing. No, but that's the classic black and red ROH. And I think you're seeing with the way it's being booked, with the wrestlers they're choosing, with the redesign of the titles and whatnot, they're going back to that classic era as part of the relaunch of ROH. And when you think of ROH, you think of somebody like Samoa Joe and the classic matches he's in. So I think he retains. I think he knows his role for now, or what this is. A lot of people didn't know this was going to happen with AEW and ROH kind of becoming under one owner. But I think the best way to book it and try to keep it separately is to have Samoa Joe off of AEW, who's just kind of be there, and have him as a champion ROH, where he can build from there, and you can build that appetite. Okay, now I want to see him in AEW. Now I want to see him do something. So I think Samoa Joe retains here. Finally, our main event for the ROH World Championship. Jonathan Gresham, who's been champion for like 700 years. Of course, he's now a part of Tully Blanchard Enterprises, takes on the challenger, Claudio Castagnoli. It is time for my guy, Claudio, to be the guy. Claudio Castagnoli leaves Death Before Dishonor 2022 as your new ROH World Championship, just Swiss uppercutting people and swinging people all around.
Nikki made a great point. Tony did talk about this on the media call, where he pretty much said Claudio has been around for a long time, but hasn't had that, that belt to show for all the great things that he's done. So ROH might be the great place. I mean, Gresham is a household name as far as almost synonymous with ROH. Him dropping the belt. I mean, I don't think anybody who has the belt doesn't want to drop the belt. But this might really make a good storyline. And the fact that also too, Claudio's story, mainstream media, like, I don't care what anybody says. And yes, wrestling is for the wrestling fans, but also the more articles that are written about mainstream media. So for instance, for WWT, we get a lot of media briefings and requests and stuff like that. ROH has been like, it's the same people, but before it wasn't as heavily plugged like it was recently to mainstream media. So I feel like with that, the name and the cachet that Claudio has before, this might really help push the brand as well. So I think it's a double thing.
Exactly. And big shout out to Jonathan Gresham, who's held down ROH for the last, 8 months or so, dealing with the company becoming kind of inactive and becoming an indie, and what we thought was going to happen with it, and taking it literally around the world and defending this ROH championship and keeping the name alive, coming to Impact Wrestling and doing stuff in Progress and in Terminus, and just, he's been an amazing champion, proving that, size don't matter, man. Listen, you check Jonathan Gresham's x-rays, what's right here? He got that dog in him. Okay, Jonathan Gresham got that dog in him. So I'm really excited to see the next step, what happens with him, where we get to see him on TV with Tully Blanchard and popping with that. But it's not a bad guy to drop it to. And believe me, I think once, he drops to Cesaro, sound like JR, once Claudio defeats Jonathan Gresham, then we're going to have a feud here. So I love Jonathan Gresham. I think he's perfect for what ROH is. I think he's perfect for what what we like to see in wrestling. And it's not boring. It's grappling and it's all these moves, but they're like amazing. And he comes out with the octopus, makes it so badass, man. So I really enjoy Jonathan Gresham. I really enjoy Cesaro. Did it again, JR, 10 push-ups. But Claudio Castagnoli leaves and becomes the guy for ROH. He's going to be an amazing world champion. He's going to be everywhere, and I can't wait to see it.
There it is. So we do have a ROH Death Before Dishonor, post show happening here on Twitch, 11:30 p.m. CST, 9:30 Pacific Standard Time. So definitely check that out. We also have an Impact show happening today. I can't believe it's Thursday already. I know. We also have an Impact show happening and an NXT UK show happening today as well. So definitely check all that out. And to wrap everything up, Kane McCoy, thank you for hanging with us. For stopping your burglaring in Florida to come all the way back here to do the show. Where can everybody find you for that post of the Rock's daughter's names?
You can follow me at Kane McCoy, CainMcCoy.
So definitely check out Kay McCoy. And then also too, like I said, definitely go and check out the media briefing. It was really interesting, especially where ROH was concerned and the direction. I feel like you understand Tony Khan a little bit better when you listen to these briefings. So this is on our YouTube page, and it's also on our website, www.talkpod.com. Nikki wrote a really great article for that. So definitely check that out. Check out all our social media at www.talkpod. You can find me in everything at TK Trinidad. WWT Live is Monday to Thursday. So if you watch the Daily Show, you understand why. Monday to Thursday, 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.